Okay, in terms of the agenda then, the main topic that we're going to cover is funding support. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time just working through some of the funding options out there. We're going to provide a few updates on what we're doing as a cricket foundation and our staffing structure at the moment. A bit about what we know in terms of the current landscape, what our challenges are, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about what you could be doing as clubs if you've not already started doing them. And then also provide an opportunity at the end to share some best practice. And I'd encourage everyone to type in the chat if there's anything that you want to share with us. And just a reminder, please do ask questions throughout. Do well. Okay, so in terms of our staffing structure at the moment, we've furloughed 6 members of staff. There are currently six members of staff working. So myself, Nick, James, Charlie, Tom, and Lauren. We've tried to keep in place our club-facing roles at the moment, so the people who are able to provide ongoing support to you as clubs. So again, I'd urge you to make contact if there's anything you need to discuss. Please do make contact with relevant people. I think James, Tom, and Charlie have made contact with a lot of clubs over the past couple of weeks and provided opportunities for you to set up virtual meetings, dialogue over. Again, if you need to, then please do. We have created, if people have seen, we've created a dedicated page on our website, COVID-19, and we'll continue to keep that up to date with any information that we receive relevant. So keep an eye on that. On there, we've also put on 3 forms plus to complete. So there's one around what funding support you've received so far, there's one around just sharing best practice, and then there's also just a general form of any questions or concerns you may have. Hopefully, you all saw the FAQs document we sent out, and also the stream support document. We'll continue to have dialogue with you and communicate and share updates as and when they're available. I'd urge you just to keep an eye on our social media, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're trying to keep regular content on there, which hopefully will be used to. So if you don't already follow them, then you can do so, please. Okay. So what can you be doing as clubs? We recently sent out funding document, which Nick's going to talk us through some of the details. But within that, we sent out a financial cash flow forecast. So an Excel spreadsheet which you're able to use to track your cash flow based on different scenarios. Those scenarios are just shared on the previous page, were the scenarios in that spreadsheet. So if you haven't already, I'd urge you to start looking at cash flow so you can identify any key things. And obviously, make sure to talk you through what help supports. So I'd really urge you to start looking at. Also, look at your outgoings and your expenditure and see if there's anything that can be done around. Can you take payment holidays if you have? Can you have conversations with, if you've got a TV license or Sky subscription, is there anything to suspend that? Also, maybe worth looking at energy bills. So, is there an opportunity to change plans or reduce?
Sorry, Woody, can you hear me, mate? I do apologise.
Yeah.
Your microphone is really poor. And there's a lot of chat. It's very difficult to hear you, mate. I do apologise for interrupting you, but I don't know if there's anything you can do this end. But you're cutting in and out all the time. I don't know if that's the same for others, but I just thought I'd let you know, mate.
Okay, apologies. I'm not. I'll try and get a bit closer. I'm not sure if might be my Wi-Fi. Is that better?
Much, mate. Absolutely much better.
Okay, apologies for that. I'll just get a bit closer. Sorry, so I'll just I'll continue from where I was, and if there's anything that you need me to pick up, please just put it in the questions. I'm going to take questions shortly. Just in terms of member engagement, we've seen lots of good activity around member engagement. I'd continue to just communicate with your members. We are going to share some best practice that we've seen towards the end of the presentation. And then finally, just continue to talk as committees. If there's an opportunity for you to have virtual meetings, then I'd really recommend it. You know, share the issues and share the challenges of the committee and work together. And it may just be a good opportunity now to review where you're at as clubs, and can you can you review your development plans? Is this a good time to start planning for the future, and what season the season might look like next year, and so on. So continue to have that dialogue as committees. And finally, Sport England. So Sport England have got the Club Matters website. It's got some great resources on there. So again, I'd encourage you to take a look. Mick is going to just unmute his microphone and just talk to you a little bit about what's on there that you can use as clubs. Mick.
Yeah, thanks very much, Richard, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, just wanted to just mention some of the stuff that's on the Club Matters website, which I think is really helpful in clubs, organisations keep up and running. So there's some terrific documents. There's a continuity template. There's some information around securing premises, because one of the things that we know is that there's one or two people out there that are quite happy to try and take advantage of the fact that cricket clubs aren't particularly being used at the moment, and the security, the normal security, is not up and running. So that's one to have a look at. There's some stuff around emergency financial planning, and we'll do a little bit about that shortly. And one particularly close that we're keen for people to push and keen for clubs to explore is around business rates and the advantages through following that up, and the business grants that are available through the government. And linked into what Richard previously said around, there's something around virtual committee meetings, AGMs, and a general financial support document. So lots of stuff on there. So if you've got a chance to click into Club Matters Sport England website, I think you'd find some really useful information on there. Richard, can you move on to the next slide, please?
Yeah. Is that caught up?
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to just do is just I'll put the slide on, I'll leave it on for a few seconds so people can just have a look, and then I'll just pick up a few key points on each one. And as Richard said previously, if there's any questions coming up there, please put them on the chat page. So in terms of financial support, we know that every single club will be challenged by the current situation that we're in. So it's a really difficult time for everyone. So we know that. We know every club will be challenged. We also know that there's limited funds out there. And a couple of points, really, there are some good external opportunities that we're asking clubs to explore particularly around the government support that's available. Now, perhaps one point I would make is that the government support, it's there to support you, so please make your application. Some of the other areas, if you need support, just think about, do you need that support? Will it help you? If people are applying that don't necessarily need the support, they could impact on the future of other clubs. So I would make that point first of all, and the bottom bit of that, exhausting government support options, and we'll look at those before looking elsewhere. The other point is around the clubs. Most clubs that we've got are member clubs. So I know there's some really good examples of clubs that are asking the members to make a donation towards the membership. And it's not unreasonable to do that. The clubs, as a club, you've got ongoing costs. So if clubs are asking members and the members respond, it might be a donation. It might be looking at, can people support them this year, and you can look at your membership fees for next year. Your fundraising initiatives might need to be different. Well, they're going to have to be different at the present time, that's for sure. So there may be some things that you do in the summer, prize draws, raffles, end of season things that you might have to change to a Christmas events or something looking further ahead. And the last bit really around sponsors. Many of your sponsors will have a very close association with your club. So, you know, they may want to support you, but you may want to also be trying to do what you can to support them, because it will be a difficult time for some of your sponsors. And I think the key thing for me is trying to get everybody working together for this, keeping your club informed on what you're doing, and being open and honest with them in terms of, you know, you're going to have costs. How are you going to raise the funding support for that to cover those costs? And I'll probably go back to what I said first, you know, government support options before looking elsewhere, probably the best port of call. Richard, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, so just a little bit about the government support, and the two top lines are the ones that are most relevant to cricket clubs. So if you pay rates, you've got a rates holiday for this year, so no one should be getting rates. It's possible that many clubs will have had a bill for rates because they came out early March before this information was out there. So that should be refunded to you. So just please speak to your treasurer on that. So everyone should get a business rates holiday. And the second one that I want to just touch on is the business support grant for cricket clubs. Now, most clubs that are eligible for this will be eligible for a grant of £10,000. That depends on the rateable value, and it's looking at clubs with a rateable value of less than £15,000, which probably will be most clubs that we've got in Derbyshire. If you have got a rateable value of between 15,000 and 51,000, then the business support grant fund can give a grant of £25,000. And the other points on that slide are really there's one or two clubs that will be applicable to. I'm sure those clubs will know who they are. Richard, can you move on to the next slide? So the government business grant fund. So cash grant of either £10,000 or £25,000, depending on, as previously said, on your rateable value. The ECB estimate there's some 36% of clubs are eligible for this. It might be more in Derbyshire, it might be less, but that's nationally some 36% of clubs. It's being administered by your local authorities. One grant for premises. So if you're a cricket club, it might be straightforward. But if it's a multi-sports club, it may be in the name of the multi-sport club. And the grant will be paid to the name on the bill. So these bills, rates bills went out, I think it's something like the 9th of March, around about that time, to whoever owned the premises. Now, the theory is that the local authority should contact you, but we're finding a very different situation in different areas of I think it's in different areas of the country, but it's even in different areas of the county. So some local authorities are being really proactive and some aren't being quite so proactive. So if your local authority doesn't contact you and you think you're eligible, then it might be something that you need to look into. And the slide's just gone up with the relevant local authorities that are on there. And there's some really good information. I'm just going to share with you one or two of the things that that we know have happened. So, and it is a bit of a mixed picture. So in terms of Derby City, we know that some clubs have been supported in Derby City. We know that some clubs have been supported already in the Derbyshire Dales. In the High Peak, we know clubs have been supported and have been paid, and also in Derbyshire Dales. The picture elsewhere is a little bit, we're a little bit short on information. So within Amber Valley, Chesterfield, Bolsover, Erewash, and South Derbyshire, if there are clubs that have applied or received the grant, we'd be really grateful if you could either let myself know or your club and community cricket officer what the current situation is. I think I might have missed out there North East Derbyshire, so we know that some clubs in North East Derbyshire have already received this grant. So we're also aware nationally there's quite a lot of difference. So if there's somebody that thinks you should have be receiving this, and it will be, the first protocol I'd say to you is find your rates bill, speak to your treasurer, have you got your rates bill? Look at the information that we supplied on the funding document that we sent out. There's lots of information on there. Look at the website link, how you can access this grant. And then if you're still struggling, please come to myself or Charlie, Tom or James.
Mick, I'll just add in that, just obviously you mentioned about letting us know if you've managed to access the grant. That will be really helpful because we can start to look at what areas are supporting and where there might be some challenges. As I mentioned earlier in the call, providing you could hear it, there is a form on our website, and there's a link later on in the presentation to the form where you can just simply, it's a Microsoft form, you just type in the name of the club, the name of the person, and you can select which grants and what funding support you've received. So be grateful if you could start to populate that. That'd be really helpful. Thanks, Mick.
No, thank you. Yeah, just to emphasise, I know from the early reports that we'd had that nationally there's a lot of difference in how local authorities are interpreting the information and what they should be doing, and we know some are being really proactive, some are not quite so active. So we're quite happy to try and represent you, speak to the ECB if there's areas where we feel there's a discrepancy or it's very vague. There's a lot of information there to read through, and please do get on, and as Richard said, please let us know what you're getting and what you're not getting. So that's really important. Just onto the Sport England Community Emergency Fund. So this is the second thing that really wanted to point out to everyone. £20 million. Please remember this is for all sports, and it's about the fixed costs. So some of the costs that you've got: rent, utilities, insurances. They're on the screen there. And in terms of where they're looking at a period from the 1st of March to the end of July. So you couldn't make a claim into this after the end of July. Although I think it's something that, depending on how long the situation goes on for, that could be reviewed. Now, if you go and make an application, and I know quite a few clubs and organisations have already made an application into this, they will, one of the things they do push you at, it's around complementing other funds. So they will be urging you to say, have you been for the government funding first? That's one of the key things. And there is a list of criteria that are on there as well. So they'll ask you to demonstrate that you need funding and support, and there's a gap. And what will be the consequences if you don't receive funding. And from that point of view, the cash flow document that was forwarded out to clubs, please use that, because that's helpful for you, even looking forward and looking later this year, but into next year as well. Now, the next, in terms of the feedback that I've had for this, some applications are going through incredibly quickly. So I know one club that got an application in last week, and they've received confirmation that they're being supported. I think it took 6 or 7 days. So it's fairly quick. They're feeding them on over quickly. Whether there's some link in relatively small, I think your relatively small applications are likely to go through a little bit quicker maybe than some of the larger ones. I would encourage people, if you feel you need to make an application, it's one to make an application. If they end up oversubscribed, I think it'll send, it does send a message out there that clubs need this help. Richard, I think are you going to take a bit of a break if there are any questions here, or? Yeah,
just, if I'd encourage again that if you've got any questions, just post them at any point in the meeting chat. We will take any questions now if you've got anything up to this point. Mick's going to talk through after this the ECB's funding, so ECB loans and grants. So if that's one, and then that's coming up next. Mick, we've just had one question: is the Community Emergency Fund a loan or a grant?
It's a grant.
Yeah.
Community Emergency Fund is grant. There is a loan system through the government scheme to cover revenue, I believe, where people have lost revenue. So yeah, this one, the Community Emergency Fund, is a grant, and as I say, going through pretty quickly. I'm aware of at least 2 that have gone through within a week. And once again, I'd really encourage people, letting either myself know or the club and community officers, please let them know if you've been successful. We want to try and share successes here. We know everyone's, there's challenges for lots and lots of different clubs. So if we can help each other, I think that's really important at this time.
Mate, we've just had a question from Gaz Harry.
Yes.
Are every local authority paying the support grant to businesses that are zero rated for business? So the 10k and the 25k grants, are they being paid even if a business is at zero rated?
Yes. Well, that's my understanding. It should be reading the documentation. That's how I read it. There are, Mick, as I say. Sorry.
Mick, can I just come in here? It's Ian Hadfield from Duffield. I've applied for the business grant, and we are zero rated value, so I can confirm what you said. We've had the notification that we've been approved. Two key points really. One, it seems that Amber Valley aren't being so proactive, so get on the website and apply direct. It takes literally 10 minutes, especially if you've got your non-domestic rate demand with you with your reference number. And the second key point, I know you mentioned it, but it's worth probably saying again. It applies where you as a club are separately registered for rates. So say, I don't know, someone like Belper Meadows, who'd be part of the sports club, maybe the sports club can apply rather than the individual club. But when you're a standalone club, you've got your own reference number, you're registered for rates, you're in. And we haven't been paid yet, but it took me 10 minutes and I got notification within 24 hours. And obviously I'm expecting that to hit the bank account pretty soon.
Thanks, Hannes.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, just to, I guess just to re-emphasise, yes, the key thing is you should have a non-domestic rate demand. And that's the key, which should talk about small business rate relief on it. And even if you get charged nothing, so if a club gets charged, my understanding, if you get no cost, you can still apply for the grant. So I think in Amber Valley is one area where I don't think there's the sports clubs, I think, get basically 100% relief anyway. That's the understanding. It is different in different areas of the county, and it can be even different. We're finding some differences even within a district on interpretation based on what the local authority has on their records. What I think is really important is that if you feel you should be getting this and you're not getting it, please let us know. And I'm already in contact with 1 or 2 clubs around this, and it's an area that I will be taking up and seeking support and guidance from the ECB on. Does that all make sense, Richard, or is there anything that you want to add in? Any other questions on that?
No, that's great. I think we're aware, aren't we, that clubs are accessing, so just urge you to make contact with your local authority and apply if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And if there is you've got any questions, then please do pick it up with us, and we can hopefully guide you in the right direction. Yeah,
there's one thing I did miss. There's on the funding document that we sent out and on the frequently asked questions document, we put on there a link to a business tracker. So that should show you. If you press into that link, put your postcode in, it picks up all the businesses in the area that have got a rateable value. You might have to just mess about a little bit with your postcode and knock the last letter off. It seems to work better if you knock one letter off and it picks up a wider area. So that's an indication. That's the best indication we've got of clubs that are eligible. And now I roughly worked it out of about 60 clubs. And we've not been through all this, but it was about 60 out of 100 and a few. So it's a pretty good percentage of clubs that potentially got the opportunity to pick to get that support in the county.
Yeah. Okay. Mate, we just had another one. So Chris Jones, have clubs managed to progress business interruption claims with their insurers? Because I think we've had a few clubs that have tried. I've been told. I think Dave Fern put a comment on earlier that Lullington, as an example, we're told because it's not anything to do with the building or the ground itself, i.e. it's a pandemic, then it's not covered under business interruption. But it's worth checking with insurers. Also, some insurers pay up front. Sorry, some clubs pay their insurance up front. Some pay it over a number of months. So worth having a conversation just to see whether you can defer payments or have a payment holiday. But I don't think we're aware. If clubs are, then please put it on the chat, and that'll help everyone out. So if you've got an experience of that, then please list it on the chat so people can follow that.
Richard, can I just up there? Sorry, I haven't got a chat facility because you've not made me a member. Okay. But I can just say I'm from Elveston Cricket Club, South Derbyshire. I have been able to contact the insurers, and we actually pay our insurance monthly. So the insurers themselves have already had their annual fee, but we're then paying a financial company for those instalments. Right. And they were more than happy to give us a holiday break for at least a month or two. And all they're doing is adding what you would have paid that month onto the rest of the year. So it does mean when we come to pay, it will be a slightly higher premium in that year, but hopefully by then we would have funding and grants to be able to pay that. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. So, and I think that's what we're hearing is that, insurance companies, if you've not paid up front, then I think most insurers are quite happy to have that conversation about payment holidays, and it's just worth raising it with them. I'm sure every insurance company will be different, but have the conversation. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Can I'll just go back just to talk about the insurance business interruption, because I've come across slightly different things. As it won't surprise you with insurance, the insurance companies are fighting to say this isn't appropriate under business interruption. However, I am aware of a couple of places where this has been challenged, and if we get information on that on an ongoing basis, we will share that around clubs. It's just check your insurance first to see if you've actually got that cover for business interruption. And if you have, it's as Richard says, worth exploring. Do you want to move on to Sport England Community Fund?
Onto the ECB loans, mate. You've done.
Oh, and ECB loans. Yeah, sorry about that. Right. Okay. ECB Emergency Loans. If you can just put the next slide up for people just to have a quick look at.
So it should catch up, Nick, in a second.
Yeah. Well, Denby's not quite. We've not got the broadband width, I don't think, of a lot of places. So the ECB emergency loan, clubs with an adult section of between £1,000 and £3,000 make an application into this, and clubs with a junior section between £1,000 and £5,000. It's funding similar things to the Sport England grant scheme. So it's around asset owning really, and fixed costs that might be applied to that. So utility service costs, rentals, security, insurance, that sort of thing. So it's really around covering shortfalls. And once again, I'll go back to the cash flow funding template that was supplied. If anybody's not got that, contact your club and community cricket officer and they'll send you a copy on. But it'll help you identify if you really think there's a shortfall, that you're going to have a shortfall within the next 12 months. So payment for this would not start until May 2021. So you wouldn't be getting a loan and have to start paying it straight away. To be started in May 2021. Richard, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, I'll just give you people a few seconds to have a look at that one. So this ECB return to cricket grant scheme. So this is open to clubs or leagues. So clubs with an adult only team up to £1,000, clubs with a junior section up to £3,000, and leagues up to £2,000. So this is available to leagues as well, because we know that some leagues have been impacted on by this. In terms of the key, what the scheme will fund is similar to the loan scheme. This is to support clubs with an annual turnover of less than £15,000. And this isn't a fund. It's not a fund around lost income. So what people will lose, because we know everybody's going to lose some income. If you're not playing cricket, you're going to lose some income, whether it's through your match day costs, player fees, a bit on the bar, and fundraising. We know that, but it's around those fixed costs. And we're really looking at this for clubs in, if there's exceptional circumstances that clubs have got, are in. Once again, I just, with all these funds, please read the guidance notes that are provided. They're a really comprehensive set of guidance notes, and it's worth having a read of those first of all, and seeing if they're applicable to you, and if you want to make an application. And if you do, please get in touch. In terms of the grants around COVID, these are the key things that we've got. I did, on the funding document, sent lots and lots of other. There was lots and lots of other funding opportunities and things that you could look at. And it might be a time. I know lots of people will be missing cricket, but maybe it might be a time to look at some of the other things that you could be looking at to try and get covered off, while you've got a little bit of downtime. Richard, are there any more questions before we Move on.
It's not really posted, but if anyone's got any, then yeah, sorry, I'll just go back. John's just asked about, I was going through the slide, which I think people couldn't hear me on, so I'll just recap. Just bear with me a minute. We just try and get back to that slide. Okay. Can everyone hear me all right? John, Mick, can you hear me before I start again?
Can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll just recap on this slide. What I said was, I don't know if people have seen, but there was a notice this morning from the ECB to say that all first class and professional cricket has been postponed further to the 1st of July. So at the point of writing these slides, it was initially the 28th of May. They're now suggesting the 1st of July for the professional game. Now that probably gives us a reasonable indication as to what we're looking at from a recreational cricket point of view. The ECB are working with government, so they're having regular conversations with government around what role cricket can play as and when we get into social reintegration and hopefully back to some normality. So those discussions are ongoing, and hopefully we'll be in a strong position when we come out of it and able to resume. What I did say was we are working with junior and senior leagues and looking at other programs and planning for those scenarios. So this document, the chart at the bottom of the screen, is something shared by the ECB with us, and it's helped with our planning. So we're looking at what cricket may look like if we're able to start at the start of July, and then what cricket may look like if we manage to start at some point in August. So they're really the two scenarios we're planning for at the moment, and we are working with senior and junior leagues, plus looking at other programs such as our women's softball program, women's leagues, as to how they'll start at those points. We will share information with clubs as and when we've got it ready. We're working on that over the next couple of weeks to make sure we're in a good position. So hopefully the chart might just give you a bit of a steer to say that, as a club, can you plan for those situations? So what does cricket look like for your cricket club based on scenario 1 and 2? Okay. Is there any questions on that slide? Because I'm conscious you couldn't hear me very well earlier. No. Okay.
Richard.
Yes.
Richard. Roger Jones.
Hi, Roger.
You say the three scenarios at the bottom are based around the date of the 28th of May.
So that's the initial document. So this is based on conversations ECB have been having with government, and if you like, their forecast as to when social reintegration might have taken place. This is a few weeks dated a few weeks back. So. But they're the scenarios we're working on at the moment. So a restart of around July, if we're lucky, which sort of falls in line with what they've just released around the professional game, and then another scenario around some cricket starting in August and September, and then the worst scenario is no cricket at all.
Okay, thank you.
Would you just quickly to mention, just as Dave just posted in the chat, the ECB have just sent an email out to clubs with an update. So if clubs haven't seen it, you should have received it. Me, James, and Charlie will send it out again later for anyone who's missed it. It's got quite a bit of detail on there as well.
All right, great stuff. Thank you. Right, I'll move us back to where we were. If you have any other questions around funding, then post them. And we'll take them in a moment. The next part of the presentation is we just want to share with you some best practice Sorry, I've just lost the slides off my screen. Just bear with me. So Charlie's just going to unmute now and just talk us through some of the best practice examples we're seeing, and hopefully what you as clubs can be doing to engage members and hopefully bring in some additional funds to the club. Charlie?
Okay, cheers Rich. Can you hear me all right, by the way?
Yeah, I've got you right.
Cool. Yeah, cheers mate. We're just going to talk through some things that clubs can be doing in the meantime. Obviously, normally at this time of year we'd be really busy up at the ground and things, but clearly we're not, so we've just got some ideas for you to help you out, and just some best practice we've found from other clubs, stuff that they've been doing, things they've been up to, just the way they've been keeping members engaged. Firstly, I just think it's essential that we try and do this, just to keep people thinking about cricket, and keep them involved within the game during this pandemic and afterwards when we reintegrate back into cricket. It's inevitable we'll lose some members, but we need to try and make sure we keep as many as we can by keeping them involved and keeping the club at the forefront of their mind, so to speak. So, like, if they feel engaged and wanted, they're more likely to continue to be involved. So, a few on this page we've got for you. Some clubs have been doing a virtual quiz, raffles, things like that to generate money for the club and midweek stuff. I've got a picture of Hadders there doing some back tap challenges, sending some social media challenges around, getting clubs members to try and participate, just getting some engagement that way. In the middle here we've got Spondon. They've set, I quite like this one, they've set out sort of a weekly plan of what they're going to do, a junior quiz on the Tuesday, a bingo on the Thursday, and another quiz Saturday, things like that. So doing a bit of a social media schedule, if you like, for the week, trying to keep people involved and keep people busy. Duffield at the top, they've done a bit of a player profile. That's always a bit of fun. They've been doing that on Twitter, I believe, so just going through their senior members, trying to get some engagement, just a bit of fun, keeping people in the loop, keeping a presence online. Just flick to the next slide, Rich.
Yeah, it's on its way.
Some other good ones here from Bredsall. They've been sharing the Chance to Shine resources. For those of you that's not seen them, we've been sharing them quite regularly. Chance to Shine have been sending some cricket coaching sessions and things you can do with mum and dad at home. Good for if you run the junior teams, good for you to send these out on social media. Keeps people involved in cricket in the back garden and things. I'm sure a lot of clubs use easy fundraising. That's what Glossop have been doing on their Twitter. I know a lot of clubs in Derbyshire use this, so this might be a good time to do things like that with people doing a lot of online shopping and things like that because they can't get outside and do it. Good opportunity there. Sandy Oak have been running a 100 club. I know a few clubs run 100 clubs. It's a good way of raising money, especially at this time when the clubs are going to be down on revenues. Bottom right, Quorndon are doing a raffle. Oh, sorry, just go back, Rich. Quorndon are doing a raffle on the bar stock. So enter £10 to enter. First prize wins X amount of bar stock. Second prize, third prize, just to engage the members, trying to get them a bit of revenue in and also get rid of the bar stock, which would expire otherwise because it's not being sold behind the bar. Next slide, Rich. Just a few other bits of housekeeping. We've got these 3 online forms on our website. Firstly, they're on the new section of the website, which is COVID-19. If you click there, you'll find all our existing documents that were sent out around this situation. Also, we'll have these 3 little forms here. So one of them is best practice for fundraising and membership engagement ideas. So if you just click this form, it helps us share ideas that clubs have been using. Best to get best practice so we can share them with other clubs who might be struggling for ideas or need more ways to engage their membership. So anything you have been doing that's worked or it's been successful or anything like that, then just click this link after the slides have been sent out. It'll take you straight to the form, and we can share best practice out between all the clubs. I think that's really important at this stage. Something we've been discussing, that, you know, we've got to really help each other at this time. We can, if something's really worked at your club and it's been successful at engaging the members, or it's been a good fundraiser, then please do share it with us in here, and we can share it out with the rest of the clubs. Secondly, COVID-19 financial support. If you click this one, please could you do that? If you've had any financial support from anywhere, if you've had any sponsors that have helped you, or you've had any funding streams that have supported your club in terms of cash flow in the recent weeks, then just fill this in for us, just to keep us informed about what funding you've had. And lastly, COVID-19 questions and issues. This is just a quick form to fill in if you've got any questions or queries, or something you're worried about over the next few weeks. If you just fill this in, we'll then get an email to say that someone's filled it in, and we'll be able to get back to you with an answer as soon as we can, hopefully. So they're just 3 forms that are on our website that we just wanted to share with you a bit of info about. I think that's all for me, Rich.
Great stuff. Thanks, Charlie. Okay, we're almost at the end. So just a bit of a summary, and then I'll open up for any questions if anyone has any. So as we've talked about around planning, so as a club financially, and also for any cricket activity, it might be worth start looking at those scenarios that we've shared, and obviously I'll send out the slides so you've got them. But I'd urge you just start looking at what plans you can put in place for if and when we resume cricket. As Mick pointed out, explore other funding options. So work your way through government, Sport England to the ECB support. To look internally as well as externally. The grant, I'd certainly recommend you get onto your local authority or check the rate relief around see whether you can apply for that. So I'd certainly take some time to do that over the next few days, and then keep in touch with us, but also with your members on a regular basis, and keep having lots of dialogue. As I said, at the moment there's 6 of us still actively working for the Cricket Foundation. So our contact details are there. Please do pick up the phone or drop us an email. More than happy to try and support where we can. I'd urge you to do that. Just before I close off the call, then, if you've got any questions, okay, Jane, I've just seen one. So in terms of DBS, the process for DBS at the moment is myself, Mick, and Angela Gregson are able to initiate DBS applications, and then in terms of signing off evidence, it will be done over a video call between the 3 of us. So if you have anyone that you would like to get DBS checked, or anyone that's up for renewal, please let us know, and we can send them an invitation to complete the form, and then we'd set up a video call with them to sign off their evidence. So that's the latest guidance from the ECB on that. That is, just for reference, in the FAQs document on the website, there is some guidance around that. But yeah, I just encourage, if you have anyone that needs a verification, then send them our way. Dave, around safe hands, we're hoping to hear something early next week. The ECB are putting in place a interim support package for safe hands and welfare officers. It will be in the form of an online course, which I believe will last for a year, and then would need to be renewed when back to normality. So we're hoping for some details to come through early next week, and then we'll be able to set up some courses, all being well, for welfare officers at clubs. Yeah, in terms of certifications, Mick, I think you've got a bit more information on this one. So, question from Phil Matthews is, in terms of certification for safe hands, will ECB look to extend the certification end date? As I said, there's some online training, but I think, Mick, am I right in thinking there is an extension?
Right. So in terms of DBS checks, they've obviously changed the system, which you've already mentioned. In terms of I don't think they're extending someone that's done safe hands. They'll be asking people that need to renew safe hands to do the online course. Now, as you say, we're waiting for information, and I think even within a team, we've had a discussion whether we could do one of these webinars for to support welfare officers, because there are some. We appreciate people. It's a really important area, and clubs do get worried about this. But we are literally waiting for further information on this, and as soon as it comes out, we'll get something set up.
Yeah. What I'd add is, Mick, that Angela Gregson, the county welfare officer, is putting together a newsletter which will come out as soon as we have the final information from the ECB. So all the guidance and information will be in that, and all being well, be able to send that out at some point next week. So I'll hopefully we'll be able to answer that question in a bit more detail at that point. I hope that helps, Phil. Any other questions? Okay. Right. Oh. Yes, Jane. Please unmute and go for it around scorers training.
Hi guys, hope you're all safe. Just with my county scorers officer's hat on, just to let you know that I'm running some PCS Pro training via Zoom on Wednesdays and Sundays. If you've got anybody in your club who'd just like to either learn to score, brush up on their skills, just want to keep involved with cricket, if you can get them to email me, I will send them the link, and I'm sure Woody will happily send out my email address along with the presentation when it comes to it. We're just trying to keep people involved. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thanks, Jane. Yeah, Jane, I'll add your contact details onto the presentation. Okay, thanks. If there's no more questions, then I'll close the call off. First, thank you all for joining. Apologies for any sound issues up front. As I said at the start, it's the first time we've done it, so hopefully we'll get better as we go along. We do plan to deliver more of these over the coming weeks, so we'd be grateful of any feedback, and if you have any future topics you'd like us to cover, then please do email us and let us know. We are going to share the slides and the recording later on today, or as soon as possible after this call. The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and we'll share the link. So if there are any questions after you've had a listen back, or if there's anything you think of, then either use the forms that Charlie just mentioned to log them with us, or give us a call or drop us an email. That's more than we're more than happy to take calls.
Rich, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I've just had a message from Ian, who can't access the chat, just around All Stars and Dynamos, just around refunds and things. The thing we definitely say at the moment is not to cancel any programs or anything. The intention is that hopefully these will still run if we can later in the year. Kit for All Stars, anyone that signed up before this all happened, kits have been dispatched, so they should be with kids soon. There's also some online resources that have just been released for All Stars, so the handbook's now online for people to access. The Dynamo stuff should be online at the beginning of May. So yeah, I think it's really important that we're mentioning around junior cricket and trying to get as many people engaged with the club as possible. So no answer on refunds at the moment, but hopefully that isn't something we have to look at.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, great. I'm conscious it's 28 minutes past 11. I said an hour, so we're pretty much on time. So thank you once again for dialing in. Please continue to follow government guidance, social distancing, stay at home when possible, and do your bit for the national effort. That's all from us. Stay safe, everyone, and thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.